Good morning, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday morning, January 27th. We are looking at the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. A lot going on this morning, but before I get to what we usually talk about, I want you to indulge me as I give you my perspective on what's going on in GameStop, GME. As a market maker for 25 years, we used to deal with so-called activist investors many times where they would come into your stock, buy a tremendous amount, 5%, 10%, and then and only then would they announce that they think the stock is undervalued and they want seats on the board, or vice versa. They would take a huge short position, and then after they took that position, give their reasons why the stock is worth basically zero. So it's gone on forever. So what is going on in GME is basically a reversal of roles, and they're getting a taste of their own medicine. Let's be honest. They created the monster. They have to deal with the monster. The SEC came out last night saying, we think we need to look into GME's trading. Why? The market's been manipulated since the free market system's been dead basically since 2009 when they decided what companies to save, what companies not to save. The market's been backstopped by the Fed and the Treasury for the last 12 years. If that's not market manipulation, I don't know what is. So how dare they now, all of a sudden, because the little guy is taking control, all of a sudden have a voice in this? They created this monster. We went from 8s to 16ths to pennies. They took away the short tick rule. No commission trading. Algorithms. They took the human aspect out of the market. Be careful what you want. Be careful what you ask for. And now, look, you can't take it back. More power to these people. I don't think I've ever cursed on here, but plain and simple, fuck them. You get what you reap what you sow. I have no problem with what's going on. And to that end, we should never, ever, ever halt now, I believe, any stock or any indice at any time. You wanted machines, you wanted algorithms, play ball. This market will never, ever reach its own or seek its own equilibrium on its own as long as you continue to manipulate it. So you can't manipulate it through the Fed and the Treasury and Insta rules. And then when you don't like how the game's being played by the retail traders, now try to change the rules. So play ball. You created it. Everybody, let the strong survive. Okay. Now, let's go to what's going on today, which is very interesting considering we have the Fed at 2 o'clock and more importantly, at 2:30, their press conference. So after making an all-time high yesterday, look where we're trading in SPY. Right at the bottom of our balance. Very interesting. Over 2 million shares already with 75 minutes to go prior to the opening. So even though we're down a lot, look how mechanical we are. We've been trading right above the 25th low, which stretched the balance. Yes, right? We stretched the 3-day balance to the 4-day balance. And yesterday I said all we did was stretch it to the upside. Now we're testing it to the downside. Let's go over to the other indices, and then we'll go over game plan and SPY and ES. So look at the Russell. Let's make this a little smaller to put it in context. 9 days, 3, 6, 7, 8, 10 days. I apologize. 10-day balance. Inside day yesterday. Well, right now, they're at the bottom of a 10-day balance. So balance rules are going to be in play more than gap rules because this gap is pretty large. Everybody's going to be screaming gap rules apply. Well, I don't want to short it $4 lower at the bottom of a 10-day balance. If we're playing against short-term traders, and right now where these levels are is pretty mechanical, there's an opportunity we get a bounce to get some kind of inventory adjustment if we're still trading here at 9:30. So balance rules applying, to me, are more important than gap rules as of right now where we're trading. So that's the Russell. Look at the triple Qs. Last night, Microsoft and AMD earnings came out. Boom. New all-time high, 331, whatever it was, 2830, I'm not sure what it was. Went out with a huge price probe. And look where we are. Looking at gap lower. Now remember, one other thing with Russell, inside day down right now. But again, you have to put it all in context. If we were gapping lower by $1 out of an inside day, you sure as heck know I would want to take a short and use the gap as my out. But now at the bottom of this balance, yes, it's an inside day down, but put things in context. Triple Qs, a little different, right? That gap isn't as large, and they are coming out of an inside day to the downside. So right now the gap's about $1. So if in the next 75 minutes the triple Qs gap lower by about $1, then gap rules to me would apply, and I would look to take the short because my risk reward's a lot better. I'm out if it fills the gap. Where's my reward? Well, basically your reward is the bottom of the 25th range. So very, very important to put things in context. Just like, I would never trade GameStop. I tell you the three most important things: knowing yourself, knowing your competition, and knowing the vehicle you trade. Well, I'm not going to just jump in and buy or short GME or any of those stocks that they're playing with because I don't know them inside out like I know the SPY. So be careful if you do play those stocks, and good luck if you do. Now, SPY and ES. We traded the all-time high yesterday, but closed inside the previous 4-day balance, all-time high. We had a nice wide POC. Our overnight was actually short, pretty good. We had a pretty good POC here below, and now we are just absolutely trying to push to the low end of our balance. Now remember, we didn't have an inside day. Now, are gap rules applying for me? Not when we're down $4. I'm not looking to take a short at the bottom of a 5-day balance. So if we get an inventory adjustment where I think the risk reward is better on a short, then I'll take it. Otherwise, if we do open and push down to the bottom of this balance, which we got close to so far, but there's a lot of time left before the opening. A lot can happen. But if we open somewhere around the bottom of this balance, I'd probably take a call play just to see if we get some kind of inventory adjustment and bounce off the bottom of the balance the first time. So let's go over destinations for this morning. One other thing. Remember, ES didn't, but SPY went out with a price probe. We took out E's low by 2 cents, and we closed all the way up here. And I said, even though it's being firmly rejected right now, we don't know to A period if it is. Well, look at this, my friends. Firmly being accepted as of right now. So upside destination. Right now, yesterday's low is 383.54. We're trading at 380.12. That's my first destination right now, the gap fill. Then above that, we have the price probe, 383.56. So if the gap fills, the price probe will be gone. Then we had 10 wide at 384.53. Then we have our overnight high of 384.94 and our all-time high of 385.85. For the downside, let me just check what our downside low is right now. Now, somebody pointed this out, and this is why my room is spectacular, because these people point things out when I forget. Right now, my pre-market low is 378.76. Somebody pointed out to me, if you recall, when we had that really bad tick with that fat-fingered erroneous trade that they let stand as the all-time high, that was the price, I believe, or it was very close to it. It might have been 378.46, but regardless, again, I don't believe in coincidences. It's amazing our pre-market low right now is 378.76. So that's my first destination, if it holds. Then it would be 378.46, which is the 25th low. Now, below that, we don't have anything to 376.75. That's the real important level. That's last week's low. So if we take that out, we stop the one-time framing up in the weekly. And below that, we were 10 wide at 376.42 from the 15th. And then another weekly low of 373.70. So what is the game plan for this morning? Well, like I said, there's still 75 minutes to go. If we are to open around this level and stay around here or push down a little bit, I will take a call play against two things. Number one, to see if they front run the overnight low, if that's where it is. And number two, to see if we test and hold the bottom of a 5-day balance. Any acceptance, which would mean acceleration through it with volume, then I'm out of that trade. I'm not taking that trade because I think the gap's going to fill. I'm taking that trade because I think we're still playing against short-term traders. Long-term sellers would not care about this. Remember that. Another note, if this was long-term buying on the 25th where they absolutely rejected these shorts pushing it down, we'll see if they show up again this morning. They might not. But that's also something to see for a reactionary trade. So that's one call play. Now, in the next hour or so, if this trade opens up, say, in the middle of this gap, there's no play for me. I don't want to be long. I don't want to be short. My risk reward on that short has to be at best a buck and a quarter, where I would take a short position if that's what the size of the gap, and add to it and then out if the gap fills. So those are two early plays. Again, you're getting this play-by-play in my voice channel room while this market profile is being streamed. Now, I know this is a little long, but I think it was warranted this morning. Let's go to the charts. Monthly, still healthy. One time framing up for 3 months out of an inside month. Last month's high was $374.66. So even though we're down almost $3.50, we're nowhere near right now last month's high. So the long term is still healthy. Weekly. The important thing is last week's low of $376.75. If we hold that, nothing's really changed, and we're one time framing up for 2 weeks out of an inside week. You're not getting distance away from now this week's high or the previous week's high, but you're still one time framing up. So that's very important that we hold last week's high. For two reasons. Not only would it be the one time framing up would get stopped, but then there's a possibility of an outside week down if you take out last week's low and then close below it on Friday. Very important to keep in mind. So last week's low, very important. And then on the daily, we said this yesterday, 5-day balance. Come out of it to the upside, new highs, we see if we get distance. Come out of it to the downside, now you're firmly accepted back into this previous 8-day balance. And if you get accepted into it, eventually the goal is the bottom of it, which is 370, 370, which would put us below then last week's low and create more of a problem for the bulls. Be smart today. There's no reason to trade while Powell's speaking at 2:30. Especially, I can't imagine the range we're going to have prior to that with this gap. Good luck trading today. Have a great day, and we'll recap at 4 p.m.